Welcome to my home, Homeworthy. My name is Michael Hogan, and today I'm going to be showcasing some of my Dollhouse miniature room boxes for the holiday season. Come on in.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
My name is Michael Hogan. I fell in love with creating miniatures in 2018. I wanted just a small project, so I won an auction for a Lilly dollhouse, and Lilly dollhouses are considered the Cadillac of dollhouses. And when I received the dollhouse, it had a box of artisan furniture in it, and I was just amazed at the quality. And I did more research and found that many of these pieces were very highly collectible pieces, very expensive. And 8 years later, 24 room boxes and 3 large dollhouses. So it's definitely become a fascination and a hobby for me. Well, let's go to my Dollhouse Studio down in the basement. I'm excited to really show you guys everything that is part of my collection and how I go about designing my room boxes in my studio here. So as you can see, I have a lot of dollhouses, a lot of room boxes. A lot of them are near and dear to my heart. They have a history to them, and some of them are just ones that I've worked on. So I'm really excited to show you guys today what we have going on here. So this first dollhouse here is my Spanish dollhouse. I had a gentleman that lives right here in Columbus, Ohio, that builds these, so I sent him a design and he actually built me. This was actually a 3-step process. So this was the house, the main house that I had built, and then a few months later I had an addition, because you know you always have to have a bigger house. So I added an addition to it, and then of course you have to have a pool. So I actually have a in-ground pool with a little pool house. It's really amazing. One of the things I like about this is this actually looks like real tile that you would see on a house, and it's actually corrugated boarding that's in a box, and it looks like tile. It's really amazing. And the actual house, it looks like this would be really heavy, but it's not. This is actually made out of cardboard. So really interesting of how people go about building dollhouses. I have a dollhouse that's really heavy, and this one's very light, but just the materials they use, they know how to make it and pull it off. A great example of this house is it was an actual model Spanish style home that I found in a magazine, and I sent it to the gentleman that built this for me, and he actually mirrored it. It's exactly like the one in the magazine. So it's really cool because it's actually in 3 parts, because I had it built in 3 phases: the main house, the addition, and then the pool. So it actually comes apart, even though it looks really huge and you're wondering how did he get this in his basement, it actually comes apart. So I try to be creative when it comes to that kind of things, because you have to think about that kind of stuff, where you're going to put it. Is it going to fit through the doorway and things like that? So it looks huge, but it's actually 3 pieces. And what's unique about this dollhouse that you don't really see often is, instead of seeing on the sides and looking in, you look down in. So you can see down into the house rather than looking through the sides of the house. Once I come up with a sketch for a design, I send it to a person in Chattanooga, Tennessee, my friend Tony, who builds the room boxes. And during that time, while he's building it, which can be about 3 to 6 months, I'm collecting everything for the inside of it, the inspiration, you know, the magazine photos, and I'm working with artisans from around the world to develop anything from a sofa to kitchen cabinets to lighting to an accessory, maybe a floral piece. And then once, during that process, I'm collecting everything. And then once I get the room box, I kind of put it all together and come up with a beautiful scenery to show to my social media followers. My advice that I would give to anybody is you have to be patient. There's a lot of patience. You're working with very miniature, tiny things, And you know, it takes a lot of patience, and give yourself a break sometimes. And I often do. There could be weeks that I won't even touch my miniatures because it can become overwhelming. And it also is a very expensive hobby. You can spend as much as $1,000 on a miniature sofa made by an artisan, which you may not even spend that for a real sofa. So you definitely have to work within a budget, and you also have to sit back and just enjoy it and not always be working at it, and enjoy your creations. This dollhouse here, this is a very special dollhouse to me because it's one of the, first of all, it's one of the first ones that I won at an auction, but it was made by a lady named Pam Thrope, and she was a miniature architect basically. She designed miniature dollhouses, but she was the best of the best at dollhouses. And as you can see, this is called a Cape Cod dollhouse, and it's very similar to what you would see in Cape Cod. It's beautiful, the architectural, the styles from the shutters to the windows. Everything is to scale. The bricks on the fireplace, it's a beautiful house. I try to decorate it for every holiday. So for the holidays, I just finished decorating it for the holiday season. With this dollhouse, I would say that it's definitely more of probably like my own personal style. I like early Americana antiques and primitives, folk art. And a lot of these pieces that are actually in this dollhouse that artisans have made are actually pieces that I have in my actual real home here. So it's really interesting when I come up across a miniature piece that I'm like, oh wow, I have the replica of this in my home. So it's very exciting. And if you come over here on this other side, you can see just the details of some of the things in here. Like this is a primitive settee. This was made by William Klinger. It's just remarkable piece and the detail in it, and I just have it in the room here sitting. This is made by William Cook. It's a porcelain bathroom set, so this is the actual tub. So as you can see, you know, just a beautiful, well-detailed piece that really looks like something that you would find in your real home. I mean, it's just really detailed. Another thing I like to showcase that I thought is just like a little quilt. You see these quilts like maybe at your grandma's house or something like that. Or that somebody's made. I remember seeing these growing up, and it's a miniature, and the details of somebody stitching that in all those colors, I just can't imagine the time it took. So it's really appreciative when you see this in miniature, to see just the time that it takes, and that there are people out there that make this stuff at such a detail. And this dollhouse as a whole is probably the most detailed, just because of the person that built this dollhouse. This is what she did. So everything is very detailed, very to scale, very what you would see if you went to Cape Cod. This is the type of house that you would see, down to the shingles, down to the porch, to the door, the windows, the shutters, the bricks. Everything is very detailed. So it'll always be special to me, just because of that. And you know, it was one of my first dollhouses, and it's actually a style that I love. Like I said, it really mirrors my actual real home that I live in. Creating these miniature dollhouses can be very challenging, just because I really try to focus on realism, so making them look as real as possible, which is why I use my hand in videos and photos, so it really shows people that it's actually a miniature in 1-inch scale and not a real room. So I source my materials and, you know, everything that's in the dollhouse through various sources. First of all, just through eBay, auctions, Etsy, things like that. I'm constantly looking every day for new things. I also work with miniature artisans from around the world who focus on certain things. There may be somebody that focuses on upholstery. There may be somebody that focuses on, you know, anything that has metal in it. And then I also, there are things that I actually create too. It may be a kit, a chair that I will put together and stain and use that. So it really is the different, there are different options in how I do it. I would say the main thing that I do is really creating and making it all come together, which is why I really compare myself to like a miniature interior designer. I make it all come together because of all the great works of all the artisans from around the world that make this beautiful, beautiful things. And this dollhouse, this is actually what started it all. This is the dollhouse that I won on an auction. It's a Lilly dollhouse, so it's very special to me because this was supposed to be just a one-time project, redo a dollhouse and maybe sell it. And now, as you can see, I have 3 dollhouses and about 24 room boxes. I actually recently just received this back. I had some lady in Dayton, Ohio, help me renovate it. So there's still a little bit of work that needs to be done, but it's just a beautiful house. It's called a Lilly Rose Dawn. So it's a house, a southern plantation house that you would see, you know, in the South, and it's beautiful. I chose the color, and it needed some work from the previous owner, so I actually stripped it. Julie and I, the lady that helped me with the renovations, did the wallpaper, the electrical work. It's about 90% complete. Always with miniatures and dollhouses, you have some kind of trouble, so I actually had to take the wallpaper off of this room here because there was an electrical issue, but for the most part, it's complete, but it's just a beautiful house. And then I actually had 2 additions made. There's a little office there, or parlor study, and then the kitchen here. And I actually even have people in my dollhouse. So this is actually a miniature Martha Stewart, and that was made by Sharon Cariola in California. She makes dolls, and so she is somebody that I admire, and so she is in the kitchen here. The fun part, like I said, is really decorating them. Like just in this entry hall here is having the middle entry table, so you get to really be creative. Right now we're working on a spiral staircase that'll go here, that'll go up to the 2nd floor. But yeah, the fun part is just picking everything, like all the light fixtures. These came from England. So they're really nice little light fixtures. I have a gentleman there that makes those for me, and he's really good, and he's actually retired, but just because of the amount of business I've given him, I always have to beg him, will you make me 1 or 2 more chandeliers? And he always comes through. So he's actually making me a couple more lights, so we can get this room complete. But yeah, this is really just a favorite of mine, and it's massive. It's very heavy, but it's how I started into the miniatures, and it's actually how I started, and it's actually the last one that is really almost to completion, which is always like, it seems like that's always the case. Look, I have all these room boxes, other dollhouses, and this is actually the one that I started out with in 2018, and it's the last to be finished. But that's how it always works. But it's exciting to be able to showcase it and show people the beautiful work of this house. This is going to be part of a New York City loft room box. This is actually going to be the kitchen in it, and this is some of the furniture that's going to be in it. Like I said, it hasn't been built yet, but this is kind of the process that I was saying earlier, where I take about 3 to 6 months to just commission all these pieces, to have people build them before I actually put it all together in the room box. Over here is the actual staircase that will go into the middle of the loft and the dining room. Like I said, the fireplace. So I'm really excited about this one, especially the kitchen. It's a big kitchen, but it's going to be beautiful. And I actually saw this actual kitchen in we were at a home and garden show, and I took a picture of it and I sent it to the miniature designer in Illinois, and she actually, her name is Amy Yates, and very good, and she actually made an exact replica of that actual kitchen that was at the home and garden show. So I'm really excited about this one and getting it finished. And this is an example of just a little metal stool that was made by a miniature artisan that I work with in Spain. So he makes a lot of my miniature stuff that is metal. And this is an example of just, I love fashion, so I made like a little store that has different things. So this is like an example of a dress. This is an actual necklace. I mean, the detail on that. This is a person that makes these, and she uses royal crystal to come up with those. But just the design and the beauty of them, it's just amazing. And then, you know, there are people that make little designer purses. it's really interesting, and what people's niches are and what their story is of why they got into making what they do, because usually most people focus, like I said, on certain things based on maybe what they just like personally. The main objective that I want to achieve is that when you look at the room, it looks like a real room that you would see in a magazine, and that it's not a dollhouse. And I think that's really what differentiates me from others that are creating these room boxes. And being able to showcase it to the world and seeing everybody's comments is just very gratifying to me. And I love that, to see when people are like, this does not look like a dollhouse. This does not look miniature at all. And it tells me that I did something right. Yeah, and this is a little Salarium, so I kind of had fun with this one and decorated it, and it's really floral, but the Salarium, it usually has plants in it, so I just made it like a little sitting area with little florals. Had this one made. It just looks so real, and I just can't imagine this is all made out of like paper and different materials like that, but just the detail to make one of those petals, or just one of the flowers or leaves, they have to make those all individually. And then the like I said, the chairs, the detail on the chairs, the intricacies of just the carvings in the chair, it's just really detailed, and it's something that, like I said, you would find in your real home. And like I said, different styles. This is like kind of more of like a primitive 2. This is a great example of just like a little face jug that someone has made. And probably one of the biggest things that I have as far as like in a collection are my crock pots. And this is an example of just, this is a crock pot. So I have a lot of these. This is made by Jane Graber, who's really popular in miniature crocks. So I have, like I said, especially in my miniature primitive dollhouses and rooms, I have a lot of those where I like to collect those in the different styles, whether it be a jug or a dish or a pot or something like that. Right here, like I said, it really is the gamut of the different room boxes that I have. This one is a little cake shop, so just all little different tarts and cakes and donuts. It's really just, and it's various artisans make these, and yeah, it's really cool just to be able to. And maybe next year I'll switch this out. I mean, actually, when I first made this, I actually made this little room box. It actually was like a little dollhouse design, like a woman's store. And then I was like, oh, I want to do this up. So then I changed it. So really about miniatures is you can use your creativity and you can switch things up. It doesn't take that much work. So there's often times where I'll like take something out of a room box and I'll redesign the style or the layout, or put different furniture in it. And it'll actually be the same room box, but it'll look like an entirely different room because of just the style. You get that little creative niche in you sometimes and want to change things up. I just think that the miniature hobby is something that has become very popular over the last few years, and I think people appreciate it. I think it was a dying hobby. There was a lot of older folks that really started the dollhouse miniatures, and I think now we have this younger generation, and we have social media through just all the social media platforms and eBay, Etsy. There's many creators out there, and I like to use people that are seasoned to somebody that's new into it that make beautiful things. And I think that's what's nice about it, is we're seeing a resurgence in the hobby, and people really appreciate it when they see it firsthand. Well, thank you for coming along today, and thank you, Homeworthy, for allowing me to show my dollhouse miniature collection, and happy holidays.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content, shopping guides, and so much more.